Moving images and changing sounds at a distance beyond the limit of sight. That's the essence of television. Television as a medium has changed tremendously since its development in the 1920s. Broadcast TV to cable TV, now to internet TV, and you are all watching us on internet TV. In addition to outstanding resources such as Eternal Word Television Network and Catholic TV, there is also the digital platform Formed. Today, I'm talking with Dr. Ben Akers, who is the executive director of Formed, and we're going to be informed by Dr. Akers about Formed today. Welcome to the discussion, Dr. Akers.
Thanks for having me, Mark. I'm excited. This is my first time on Facebook.
Well, very good.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about, first of all, tell us about yourself.
Sure. Yeah, so I'm blessed. My training is in theology, and my doctorate is a STD, a Sacred Theology Doctorate from the Angelicum in Rome, the Dominican school. And I wrote my dissertation on St. Augustine in the area of dogmatic theology. And so it is kind of strange that now I'm in charge of a digital streaming platform. So I'm coming from the Augustine Institute Graduate School of Theology, having served there for 6 years. And then just about a year ago, I came over to work with Formed as well as teach at the graduate school.
So you're doing both. You're continuing to teach, and you're also working.
We don't ask for much. We just ask for more.
In charge of the basketball. I guess you get some sleep occasionally, I suppose.
Well, I have 5 young kids at home. I've been blessed with that. So they're not all great sleepers. So I get to sleep every once in a while.
Tell us about Formed. What is Formed for those who haven't seen the advertisements or actually haven't joined up to Formed?
Sure. So Formed.org is a digital platform that has about 5,000 pieces of content on it. It has movies, it has ebooks, it has audiobooks, it has parish programs that you might use for baptismal prep or other sacramental prep programs. It's a huge collection of wonderful resources that have been vetted and curated to be Catholic and faithful to the magisterium of the church, that are topics that are relevant to people's lives. And it's an endeavor of over 60 apostolates have put their content on there. So it's a real piece of collaboration, especially our partnership with Ignatius Press on it as well.
Well, we seem to be having technical problems here. Why don't we do this? Folks, stay tuned. We're going to reset this and see if we can avoid these problems. Our technical people need to step
Oh, Mark.
I don't have any idea what's happened. Yeah.
It's technology.
Okay, we're back. We're back. Very good. We're live and we're back. This is the wonder of live TV, as they used to say. So we're opining about television and technological advances, and then we went down. Well,
It's hard to know. Is it the devil that does these things, or is it just bad technology and just the glitch? Yeah.
Prince of the power of the air, man. He's working. Something's happening. All right. Well, appreciate your patience. I appreciate all the people watching, their patience as well as we deal with this glitch. I'm in this backwoods known as Napa, California, so I'm not quite sure. Apparently we don't have advanced technology, and you're there in Denver, so
I'm in the Denver Tech Center, so we're built for it.
There you go. Very good. All right. So you were telling us about the digital platform Formed, and I'm going to turn the floor back over to you so you can continue to tell us about it.
Sure. So I'll just start over again, just in case I don't know when we broke up. But Formed is a digital platform which has over 5,000 pieces of content. So we have movies, we have audiobooks, we have ebooks, we have sacramental prep programs, we have shows that are talking about topics that are relevant in the church today. And it's a collaboration with over 60 apostolates. So it's a great way to get people that may not have the kind of microphone to get their message out and to put them and profile their content. And our key partner is Ignatius Press, that we're very proud to work with on this.
Yes, well, Ignatius Press and Augustine Institute, we're conspiring to do lots of good things, and we like to work with others. We work with a lot of other apostolates and organizations, so it's not just the two of us. Sometimes people say, well, what are you guys doing? You're over there in the corner. But we're not. We've got lots of different groups we work with, so it's part of our overall ecclesiology of communion, to put a fancy word to it.
I love it. I mean, one of the biblical images that comes to mind is when the great catch of fish in Luke chapter 4, and Peter has to call over James and John, his business partners, call them over to help them with this great catch. And so that's what it is with apostles coming together. Is there's lots to do in the mission field. Let's work together to get as many people into the kingdom as we can.
So let's talk a little bit about the kinds of programming that Formed has. Give us some examples of different kinds of programming, and we'll explore how it can be utilized. Sure.
So one of the things that really going into the summer months as we end this school year that families have enjoyed doing is watching movies. And so Ignatius Press has a great catalog of movies that are present on the Formed platform. So for example, coming up this weekend on Saturday is the St. Rita of Cascia. And there's a great movie of St. Rita on Formed that you can just search for Rita and she'll come up. Joan of Arc is at the end of the month, and there's a wonderful movie, Joan of Arc, that's on the platform as well. And so if you're wondering, is Formed have something related to the Saint Day, there's a couple options to discover that. One of those is to go to our leaders site. If you go to leaders.formed.org, we have resources for if you work in a parish, if you just volunteer in a parish, or you just want to know more. And right under the resource dropdown is Liturgical Calendar. If you click on Liturgical Calendar, you'll see a PDF that lists all the resources, not only movies, but ebooks or audiobooks that are available on Formed for download related to the saint of the day. So I'd say that's one great way to use Formed and utilize Formed in your own life as a family, especially going into the summer months, is to have good, trustworthy, curated Catholic content.
So somebody might think, okay, I get it. So you've got teaching programs, but you're saying, no, in addition to that, you've got family faith-based entertainment, Lives of the Saints and things of that sort.
Exactly.
That's a good balance.
That's why I led with that, because most people think of like, oh, it's a sacramental prep program for baptism or to confession and Eucharist. And we have all those things, and we have wonderful resources related to that. But we also have entertainment that is trustworthy, that you can click on it and you can watch it together as a family.
So you have that for grown-ups, but you also have it for kids too.
There's some cartoons that are there for kids and some other kids shows where there's human interactions with puppets. And we have a show on there that's become very popular recently. It's called Benjamin Cello. And it's done by a Catholic family in Tennessee that's converted. It's almost like a mix of Mary Poppins and Fred Rogers, but kids in elementary school love it.
Yeah, so it's got music and singing and all
Music,
that.
singing, dancing, and yep.
Yeah, so it's good faith friendly, faith-based stuff for kids. We love that. So
Yes.
so you said people often think of formed sacramental prep and things of that sort. Um, that's a very specific sort of faith formation need that is addressed by form. But I think there's also, and it's not that we don't want to talk about that. We can't talk about that, but there are also things unformed that are for the what we could say the more adventurous. That maybe we don't necessarily have people categorized yet into sacramental prep, going through a particular sacramental program. And I'm thinking here of the search
Yes.
program. I know there's been a lot of buzz out there because I've seen it on social media. Tell us about the search.
The Search is the newest program that came out of Augustine Institute Studios, and it's a 7-part series where each episode follows the really big questions that people ask in life. Who am I? Why am I here? Am I just a speck of dust in the universe, or is there a God? Does this God have a plan for my life? Is it a plan for happiness? And these kind of questions that come up in people's lives. So really existential questions that we go through each episode. And it's hosted by Chris Stefanik, who's known in the Catholic world for being a very engaging speaker.
He's very dynamic host, very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's a great host, but we also have people. He's the host, but we have scientists, we have astronauts, we have astrophysicists, we have artists. We're bringing all these people into each episode to tell the story of, in an engaging way of, you should ask these questions of yourself if you haven't asked those already, and then point you in the direction of Jesus is the answer to those questions, and finding a place in the church is part of that answer.
The search is fascinating to me. For many years I was involved in apologetics, and I've been doing evangelization, and oftentimes the resources that we've had available, I won't say they're horrible. There's a place for them, there's a use for them, but they presuppose an awful lot. And one of the things I like about the search is it doesn't all it presupposes is that you're human and you're able to pay enough attention to watch the show.
Exactly, and we have a journal that's available, that a companion journal that actually works you through some of the questions that are brought up in the episode. So if you like to do this with a family member, or some people are usually, some parents are inviting their teenage, children, let's watch this together as a family, or even their college-age students, and let's watch this together and talk about the questions that are raised here. So the journal accompanies that. One of the things I really like about the search is that we have 40 videos. They're range from 2 to 7 minutes long. That's called After the Search. And what it is, it's questions that we ask Google. What are the top 100 questions that people search related to the faith? And so we took the top 40, and we had Chris Stefanik interview a professor and answer that question. So there are hot takes, if you will, that are, what is it? They're hard questions, right? What does the church teach about gay marriage? What does the church teach about contraception? What does the church teach about these questions that are in the news? And nice, quick, fast answers to talk about that. So related to apologetics.
What are some of the other things that are on form now that might not be the kinds of things that the ordinary person would anticipate?
A series that we just started is, we have a conversation between me and somebody else, usually Taylor Kemp, who works at the Augustine Institute. He's a former Major League Soccer player for DC United. Had a career-ending injury several years ago, came and became a student at the graduate school, and now works here at the graduate school and with Formed. And he and I have conversations about art. And this series is called Formed Now. So it's conversations. They're about 18 minutes long, and we do different topics that are relevant in the news. So the one I brought up about art is, we've been doing certain feast days talking about a piece of art, and the response has been incredible. We just did it as fun. I was blessed to live in Italy for 5 years. So I really got to walk around the churches and study the art and get to know some artists. So I thought this would be fun for Easter week. But it's been so popular that people are writing in and asking for more episodes. So we just did one on the Ascension. We have one coming out for Pentecost and Visitation. So that's been something that people might not have expected, but have been really very positive in responding to.
Now, years ago, there's Sister Wendy was popular. I don't think either of you dress up like Sister Wendy. At least I hope not.
We don't dress up like Sister Wendy. She was great. Yes, I have her art book at home. And I enjoy reading it. She was a lot of fun. No, we don't have a religious sister, but we do have religious sisters on every once in a while. We don't have our Mother Angelica face, but the Sisters of Life are local here in Denver, and so they'll often come in and talk about vocational discernment and things related to that.
I often say, you know, I'm a former nun, which is true. Not an N-U-N, but an N-O-N-E, because I grew up largely unchurched, you know, but you converted to Christianity and to Catholicism. But we're talking about a different kind of nun.
Different type of nun. Yeah.
The art angle, I mean, I think that's just incredibly important. There's such a rich tradition we have that gets very underutilized, if not, you know, actually kind of dissed, you know, sometimes. It's great that you guys are talking about that.
It's true. And that's what people have said, because unfortunately, depending on where you live in the world, you may or may not be blessed with beautiful art in your own church, or even a beautiful church. And we just don't talk about these things anymore. So, and we don't have art books on coffee tables anymore to just pick up and read on Sunday morning. So we're just trying to expose people to the rich traditions. And that's what Formed is trying to do, is how do we teach the time, and all the apostolates that are represented on there, how do we teach the timeless truths of the faith to the people living today, the time in which we live? That's the work of the new evangelization that Ignatius Press is key in, that Augustine Institute Graduate School of Theology was founded to answer as well. Is, you know, how do we bring the today that we're living in 2021 into the today, the eternal now, the eternal today of salvation? How do we make those two things, those two things of time meet, and how do they inform one another? You
mentioned, of course, we've been ducking the issue of sacramental prep because we don't want to fall into the stereotype. This is just a glorified sacramental prep program, which is, first of all, we need sacramental prep programs, glorified or otherwise. But it's true that Formed is so much more. But tell us about how Formed can be utilized for the purposes of sacramental prep.
Yes. So again, if you're a leader in a parish, you're interested in learning more, just someone is watching and saying, I've never heard of that. If you go to leaders.formed.org, it's our site where we've put these resources together, best practices, how to start a small group. What do you do in a small group? How do you use these programs in the setting that you want to use it in? But with sacramental prep, we've noticed that we have wonderful people that work in the parish, and they work hard. Mm-hmm. And this is not to replace anybody when we make a video program, because no one wants to be the person that hits play on the DVD or watching.
That's right. My ministry is to hit the play button.
Yeah, exactly. The minister of the play button. But we want to actually support and supplement and help the people that are in the parish doing this kind of work. And so we have parish programs that are related to sacramental preparation. So we have Reborn for baptism. So 3 half-hour series where you go episodes where you go through, what does it mean to be baptism? What is baptism? What's a child of God? And what to expect when you go to a baptism. So many parishes will use that particular program for parents that are preparing their child for baptism, and even the godparents going through, just to know, do you understand what you're saying yes to? Right. It's not just you get the uncle that's the cool uncle that gets to be the godfather next. It's actually you have a spiritual role in this child's life. Well, what we've noticed with what we've tried to do with these sacramental prep programs is not only have a parish element that helps to support the parish, but parishes are also using programs that we've created for those who want to go deeper. So we have a program that we help children prepare for the sacrament of first confession, right? The reconciliation. We also have a program for the parents. And so many parishes, that's called Forgiven. And so many parishes are using this as a 2-tier approach. So you have the kids watching our sacramental prep program, 2nd grade, preparing for first reconciliation, while the parents are watching at the same time Forgiven. And we've had incredible success, testimonies that parish leaders have shared with us of saying, you know what, parents are going back to confession and going back to Mass. So we also have a sacramental preparation program related to the Eucharist. So as your child is preparing for the Eucharist, we have for the parents what's called Presence. And again, these are short videos that are done and filmed in high quality video, but also told as stories, told in
storytelling. Right.
Yeah, storytelling, exactly, in an engaging way. So you can have the kids learning their sacramental prep. It's being reinforced to the parents at the same time. And then for the parents that are really engaged already, we have a series that we call Lectio, which is just the Latin word for reading, but it evokes the kind of Lectio Divina of a sacred reading of Scripture in a prayerful, meditative way. So we have Lectio Eucharist with Dr. Brant Petrie. So if you want to really go in depth, you can say, what are the echoes to the Old Testament? And how is that fulfilled and revealed in the New Testament by Christ giving us his body, blood, soul, and divinity? So we try to hit multi-levels of tiers. So the children, the parents, and especially those engaged Catholics, there's something for them on Formed as well.
We should talk a little bit about the sacramental prep component strategy, because I think it's a brilliant strategy. Of course, you know, you've got somewhat higher, you have parents at a higher level of motivation than perhaps is typical for those parents, because they want their kids to get the sacraments. And so they're, if you'll pardon the expression, willing to jump through hoops that they otherwise would say, you know, I don't really need that, or I'm not really, you know, I'm a Catholic, but I'm not a crazy Catholic, you know, and all that. Because they're highly motivated, though, they'll do these other things. And oftentimes, as you're describing, they kind of undergo not just an information dump, but a formation moment, or even a transformation moment where they undergo kind of conversion. And I know this is sort of the holy grail for a lot of pastoral agents, you know, pastors and their associates in the parish. You know, they want it, certainly they want to get the kids and they want to help them grow in their faith, but to be able to get parents as well is just a wonderful, you know, element of combining this catechesis moment and evangelization. And so it's great that Formed offers that.
Right. And we have testimonies that are available on that website, and we have parish teams that can coach you if you're really interested in learning more about how to approach this if you're working a parish. But that is it, that the parents are, we have one story, especially in the Northwest, that's a testimony on there, where the kids were in Catholic school and some not in Catholic school, but they're all going for first confession followed by first communion. And the parents weren't going to church. The kids, even though they're going to Catholic schools, maybe once every 4 weeks, once a month, the family was actually going to mass together. And that's an alarming statistic that's pretty universal, actually, around the United States. Just because the kid goes to Catholic school doesn't mean he's going to church on Sunday.
Right.
And so they just encourage, let's try this we expect you to go to church. We expect you to go to this program. At the end of the several months of going through the program, every single family was going to church on Sunday, and they had 2 or 3 parents that weren't actually baptized Catholics that came into the church as part of RCA and full confirmation. So it works. But, you know, I think one of the things that we want to encourage everyone watching to do is that we have to be creative in these touch points that we have with families. And what's a touch point? It's when someone shows up at your door and knocks. You don't have to do anything to get them to come to the church. And we have to be super creative in how to get people that aren't in church to come back to church. But think of the person that shows up and says, hey, I'm a godfather. I've been asked to be a godmother. I need a letter of good standing. Can you fill this out for me? Or I want my kid to be baptized, or I'm about to get married.
Right.
What a wonderful opportunity. That's a touch point where they show up at our door without doing anything. They just know this church can offer me something and I need from them. And so we shouldn't be afraid of, you know, the offering the hoops, if you will. But if you can do this in a creative, if you can present the gospel, and why would someone want to get married in the church? Why is marriage a sacrament? We have a whole program for those people preparing for marriage that can also be used for couples that are, you know, want to strengthen their marriage together as well. So that's what I think I'd encourage us to do is be creative. You know, explore the Formed platform with it. You know, you can have a free 7-day trial for your parish doesn't have it. But usually what happens is your parish probably bought you Formed. They might not just have done a good job of telling you this great gift that you have at your fingertips. But if you go to formed.org, you can register and sign up, and it'll say, I'm a parish, I'm a parishioner. And you put your zip code in or the name of your parish, and it'll pop up, automatically populate. You put your email in, and you sign in through email, and then you have access to all these great resources.
So it's possible that people watching this may not be aware that their parish already has a Formed subscription. And it may be that they are aware of it. They thought, well, you know, I don't really know what that is, you know, and is it complicated? But you're saying it's pretty simple. You go to formed.org and you just do a little search and you can.
Yep. Put zip code in where you live or where you work, and a parish will likely pop up. We have a relationship with over 5,000 parishes in the United States. So your parish probably bought you that wonderful gift. And And if you get on there, you're going to see, what am I going to see? You're going to see a carousel with changing images. And those images, if you click on them, are related to the liturgical year. So we've already curated that. So, being a doctorate in theology, I'm thinking liturgically. I'm thinking what are on people's minds. So I work with a team here where we pick that information for you. And we also have a Stripe. So it's going to look like Netflix. It's going to look like Amazon Prime when you get in there, the streaming platform. And it'll say pick of the week or this week on Formed. And you'll see that we've picked resources for you related to themes going on in the church.
Excellent. Well, so you talked about parishes that subscribe to Formed. Is it possible, if for whatever reason my parish doesn't have Formed, for me to become a subscriber?
It is. So you can sign up and you can pay month by month and explore the great resources on there. So that's an option when you sign on to Formed as well. And we have many, many thousands of people that do that as well.
Yeah, I know sometimes people say, well, I like to gift Formed.
Yes.
I get Formed, but I wish my kids would get it. They don't get it at their parish. And what you're talking about is an individual subscription as a way of gifting it. Yes.
Thank you, Mark, for bringing that up. That's a great gift to give people for a confirmation or for a baptism, or just to, parents, one of I go around, I'm blessed to go around to different parishes and go around the country and speak. I can't tell you how many times the number one question that I get asked when I go on the outside of the walls of the Augustine Institute, it's, I raised my kids Catholic. I did the best I could, but they left the faith. Mm-hmm. What can I do? And one of the ways to do that is to give them great resources. And you might have to give them a tour, because they're like, oh, thanks, Mom, thanks, Dad. But, like, no, watch this with me. Encourage them to, hey, I'm going to watch this program. Will you do that at least for me? Let's watch the search together. And let's have a conversation. Let's have a Zoom. And if you're not in the same town. And that's a great way for people to talk, families to talk to one another about the faith.
So Formed has digital faith formation content, catechesis, evangelization for the seekers, for the established believers, for the people somewhere in between. You also have audio content. People can listen to various Lighthouse Catholic media talks and presentations of that sort. There are movies. We talked a little bit about some of the movies that are there, and other entertainment options, both for adults and teens and kids. There are digital books or ebooks there. I know Ignatius Press is one of the sources of ebooks. I think Sophia Institute Press has some ebooks there. I don't know all the others. I don't always check out the competition in that regard. But there's people can download ebooks and then read them as part of their subscription to Formed. So there's a plethora of resources available. What's the future? Where's Formed going in the future?
Great question. I wanted to mention, as you're talking, I just remembered I wanted to share that we have an app. So you can watch Formed on your computer if you sign on, but you can also download the app, free app on your phone. Also Roku and Apple TV. So that's actually how many people like to watch shows, is put it next to your Netflix, put it next to your Amazon Prime if you're going to pick something, and maybe commit to a Friday night or a Saturday night. We're going to sit together as a family and watch a faith-based film or a faith-based program.
Or you can do preparation for the Sunday readings too. That's the other thing.
That's exactly right. So we have many scripture programs. That's one of the strengths of the Augustine Institute, I think, is our scriptural program that we have. And those professors that teach at our graduate school are teaching in a way that's very relevant for the person in the pew, that you can also find their content on Formed. What's the future of Formed? It's in God's hands, of course, but we're celebrating our 6th anniversary. And so it's wonderful to have 6 years. Isn't it amazing? Yes. And we've been blessed to have 1.2 people registered on this platform. So I think that's
1.2?
1.2.
1.2 million, right?
1.2 million people on the digital platform.
That's amazing.
So I think it's activating the people that have access to it and forming them in the ways that they want to be formed, and the way that the trusted content that they can find there. And I think we're just going to see more. We're going to see more shows. So we're going to try to get some wonderful, trusted Catholic teachers of the faith from different apostolates that are going to be present on the platform. So you'll see more shows, especially topics that you're interested in. And if there's topics that you'd like to see that you haven't found on there, it might be on there. I encourage you to explore, but it might not yet. So let us know if there's a show or themes that you want us to cover, and we'll really consider that.
Well, I know that there's a live show the Augustine Institute does, which I think Tim Gray is one of the hosts, and then you do it. What's your show? What's your program?
So Tim Gray has the show on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's called the Augustine Institute Show with Dr. Tim Gray, where he interviews somebody that's doing some great work for the church and gives a great story. And that's available on the platform even off of Tuesdays. But if you want to watch it live, it's Tuesdays at 7 p.m. And then the show that I host is called Formed Now. So it's conversations about art. It's conversations about evangelization and catechesis. There's a show that airs every Friday where I talk about evangelization and catechesis. It's called Formed for Mission. And so we go through different texts, we go through different topics, and how do I evangelize with somebody? One of the most popular programs we had was a 4-part series with Taylor Kemp, who's a millennial, the former soccer player, and I'm not a millennial, I'm Gen X, but it was actually called Evangelizing Millennials. He himself was a convert to the faith, was raised in no Christian denomination, nominal Christian denomination, and he converted to the faith. So we had what brought you into the faith, and how do we talk to people of your generation about the faith in a relevant way, but also in an engaging way. And so that's been a very popular series on there. So you can search Evangelizing Millennials on that. Just this week, I interviewed Eric Jennis, who's a musician who goes into prisons and plays piano and plays beautiful music for the prisoners. Just brings some piece of humanity and beauty into their life. And he has some incredible stories. So that show released on Monday called Prison Ministry and Beauty. So it's been fun for me to be in the interview chair and ask people, just give people a platform to talk about what they do. Because we have so many wonderful apostolates that are out there in the field, and we just don't get to know them. That, to use a biblical image from the Old Testament of, Elijah is told by God, I have 7,000 people that haven't bowed to the Baal. I've got people everywhere. And so we want to give a message of hope and light. And that's really what we do in these shows is, how do we promote good things that are happening in the church today?
It's so easy to get bogged down by the problems of the world, the problems in the church. And it's not that these are things that we can just ignore. They don't go away by our ignoring them. But we don't want to give them undue influence in our lives. And Formed is a wonderful alternative to just being overwhelmed by the secular bad news and even sometimes the ecclesiastical bad news.
Unfortunately, that's the case. But that's what as I mentioned before, I did my dissertation on St. Augustine, that Augustine was very quick to remind the church that of which he was living, like, hey, Jesus promised us there would be bad people in the church. So we shouldn't despair. We shouldn't accept it, but we got to do our best to grow in our own faith and own life of virtue as well.
Well, Dr. Ben Akers, we thank you for being with us in this discussion. We hope everybody will go out and either subscribe to Formed, if they're not already subscribed, get their parish to subscribe to Formed, if it's not already subscribed, or at least be watching Formed on a regular basis if they have a subscription, because this is such a wonderful jewel. There are a lot of wonderful other apostolates out there. Some of them actually are collaborating with the Formed digital platform, and we're happy to have such a big family of people participating. There's so much good available to the church today. Let's take advantage of it and use it not just for our spiritual growth and benefit, but for the spiritual growth and benefit of others. Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.